Hello, I'm Marion Manton.
I'm David White, and we're from the University of Oxford, and we'll be facilitating Week 6 Curate with our colleague Joanna Wild.
And the Curate Week is all about OER, or Open Educational Resources.
I suppose the reason that this week is part of the OLDS MOOC, the overall MOOC, is because there's an expectation that a learning design is very likely to take advantage of or use one of these or multiple open educational resources as part of the overall design. So that's the role of this week is within the MOOC.
So you've been focusing on the sort of activity-led side of a learning design and how it's going to work, and now we're looking at the content that's going to fill it up. Although it's worth noting that OER is a very broad term and you could release your learning designs themselves as OER. This week we're looking much more at the content aspect of OER, and we'll be starting that with our first activity of the week, which is called Seek and Deploy.
Yeah, so obviously what we want to do is tune you into what an OER is and how it's different from just general stuff that's out there on the web, what makes it different, and also how to identify it and how to find it. So that's the first activity.
Yeah, and I mean, it should be straightforward, but there's a few little catches with finding OER, but hopefully by the end of this activity you'll know where to find them and how to judge what's useful for you. The next activity is called Prepare to Launch, and it's worth saying that this is an optional activity. This is the one that takes place over the weekend, and that's about once you've got an OER, fitting it into your design, which may be a matter of repurposing the OER you've found, or it may be actually creating an OER from scratch or from multiple OERs that you've found out there, and then if you want, you too can release that as an open educational resource.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point. I mean, when we talk about open educational resources, in the first instance we tend to think about finding and using stuff, but it should probably be a two-way street, and so producing or reformatting or editing OER that's out there and then putting it back out on the web has certain potential advantages which we'll be discussing along the way. And then we're going to finish up this week with a discussion in Google Hangouts around OER in general. So we'll be reflecting on how you've found the week, the kind of OERs that you've discovered, the strengths and weaknesses of this sort of approach, but also, and I think importantly, how OER may or may not influence your teaching practice, your design practice going forwards, and perhaps some of the larger implications it might have for higher education in general. So that's how we'll be wrapping up the week. Now, everything that we're doing in terms of activities has a home in a cloudscape.
Yep, so we've got a cloudscape for each of the activities this week. And so even if you're working in different places, what we'd like you to do is link to them from the cloudscape so that you can use that as the centre of what's going on.
Yeah, so that's the cloudscapes will be the home, the kind of the hub of each of the activities. Although our expectation, and obviously we can't predict this at this point, would be that perhaps you would be doing your work in different spaces online. Some of you might have blogs, some of you might not. If you don't, it doesn't matter because we've got the cloudscape. So that's where we'll be gathering things together. So you should be able to see the resources that we put in place. Some of them are videos, some of them are readings throughout the week. And obviously you're welcome to go through and explore them for yourself at whatever rate you want to. We'll be focusing on each activity in turn, and you can see how they work with each day. So we're hoping that's is a relatively straightforward structure to this week, and obviously we'll be around to facilitate, to answer questions. We'll be in the cloudscapes responding to the chat that's in there, and the OERs that you've found and posted to those spaces or even created. So we hope that you enjoy the week and that you get a lot out of it.
Yep, and can't wait to see what you find.